Hello and welcome back to Opening Russia. My name is Sydney, and today on our show we have Luiz Freitas, social geography graduate of Lund University, Sweden, and Brazilian-Swedish citizen who's looking at moving to Russia. We're so glad to have you on the show today, Luiz. Thank you for joining us.
No, it's me who's really honored for the invite, yes.
Thank you so much. Can you tell us, please, when and why did you become interested in Russia?
I mean, without meaning to exaggerate, literally from when I was a child. First, because I studied geography because I love the subject, and I always been interested in different countries around the world, and people usually like something that's very different from their own reality. And Russia, for us, it looked like exactly a polar opposite, but in reality, it really wasn't. For us, in my family, in my circle of friends and such, we always were very interested in politics and history, current events, news. And we always looked up to Russia as what Brazil could have been if some things in our history went a bit different. We were a colony of a European country, we were a stronger influence of the USA, and we didn't have the chance of taking care of our own interests in a way Russia did in a large part of its history. As I grew up and I started learning things, then I found out that actually Russia was not this polar opposite of Brazil as I imagined, and some things were very similar, and this made me even more interested. I got a map of Russia, and you can see there are many countries inside Russia. There are many different languages, ethnicities, which is something we have in our country. And finally, when I moved to Europe, I had a chance of start visiting Russia because we don't need a visa. It's actually really easy for us to come and go. And I learned that they're actually, their personalities and their psychology is very similar to ours. They're good to strangers, they interested in new people. So this is how the entire story went. It went from a more superficial level to what it is today, but it has always been there.
Why do you want to move to Russia? What's your goal?
Well, I want to move to Russia not because of economic reasons or career. It's something that would be detrimental to those things in my specific case. But it's something I just really want to be part of. It's a society that I identify myself with and I want to be part of. And I don't want to sound like pretentious, but I wanted to give something back to this place. I'm not saying I have a skill that nobody has. I'm not saying that I'm a special person in any way, but I really wanted to come here and do a positive contribution. I don't want to get rich, or if I wanted to, there are places much better for this in my case. But I just want to be part of a place that I admire and hope to keep this place, keep the characteristics in this place that I like.
What do Swedish people think of Russians, and how does this differ from what Brazilians think of Russia?
There is the European Union, they commission an opinion poll every 6 months or so, 4 months, I don't know exactly the periodicity. It's called Eurobarometer. And they ask a similar set of questions all over Europe, all over the 27 European Union members. And Sweden, statistically speaking, is the second or third country in Europe that hates Russia the most. They have a really, really negative view of Russia that goes beyond modern days, that goes beyond Soviet Union, that goes like wars from 300 years ago when Sweden was fighting against Russia for Finland and the Baltics and Poland and such. But it wasn't always like that. And actually the best period, the time when they had the best relationship was in the peak of the Soviet Union, when Sweden had the Prime Minister Olof Palme, that he wasn't a socialist, but he was very close to the Soviet Union in many aspects. He cooperated, for example, with the Soviet Union in fighting against the American-backed dictatorships in South America, Pinochet. Sweden has to date many Chilean descendants of Chilean refugees that came in that era. They helped together African countries to get their independence from their colonies in Europe. And there is a statue of this guy, Olof Palme, that he died. He was murdered at broad daylight in Sweden, in a very safe country, which is very weird. There's a statue of him in Moscow, made by the Russian Soviet government. And in Brazil, I would say, to be honest, most Brazilians are, like I mentioned, they don't know much about Russia. I don't know how long we can go, but there was something really, a good example of this. The under-21 football team of Russia went to Brazil recently. Like, they are suspended from international competition, so they need to find alternative ways to keep playing. So they went to Brazil and played in some really bad stadiums for a small public against local sides, and people went crazy. Now the under-21 team of Russia is like a meme internet sensation in Brazil. If you go to their Instagram account, it's all Brazilians spamming and cheering on them. Because exactly what I said, it's really exotic for us. The government has a really good that's why we come here so easily without a visa. The government traditionally has a good relationship with Russia. So it's very different. Like, I wouldn't say polar opposites. There are certainly countries that love Russia more than Brazil, but the attitude, the positive, the benevolence you see in Brazil in their attitude towards Russians, it's very different from the suspicion you see in Swedish people.
Very interesting, thank you.
No worries.
What aspect of Russian culture resonates with you the most?
As I said, that they're, simplistically speaking, deep. That there are people that there's never, hi, how are you? Good. It's never good. There's always a reason to be good. And like, what I love about Russia, and like, I have been situations that people, oh, nice weather, isn't it? Yeah. And then 5 minutes later, the person says, oh, I was a professional hockey player in the 70s. And when I was on the border right now in Tallinn, I had a guy, he was really funny and cute at the same time, because the guy came out of nothing. You know, I'm a checkers champion, and I play in the league of this, and that. And I like checkers because there's more strategy than in chess. And he was like 5 minutes, I don't know how long, talking about his checkers career, and I never asked it. And I know some people, especially in Sweden, some people don't like this, but I do. I really like the people here. They're deep. There's something that you can go deeper, and learn more about that until you. It's, I would say, my favorite thing about this place.
Luiz, thank you so much for taking the time to sit down with us today.
I'm very grateful to be able to help, and I'm very grateful that you consider my story interesting.
Of course.
It's a pleasure in all ways.
And thank you for watching Opening Russia. We'll see you again next time.